most people were pretty excited when they heard Josh Brolin could be joining the DCU as Hal Jordan. Sadly, that didn't work out, but it appears James Gunn and the crew at DC Studios might have something much bigger and darker in mind. Let's take a couple minutes to talk about what's going on with Josh Brolin, what role he's rumored to take, and why something he did on Instagram has got everybody talking. Well, it seems like the DCU is about to get a lot bigger, darker, and more star-powered if that's possible. Now, as many of you know, Josh Brolin had declined an offer to play the legendary Green Lantern, Hal Jordan, in the upcoming Lantern series. That role ultimately went to Kyle Chandler, but now we have a whole new set of rumors and what seems to be a little confirmation about where the Deadpool 2 actor could end up in the DCU. Now, let's be clear, none of this has been confirmed by James Gunn or anybody at DC Studios, but he hasn't slapped it down as of yet, and there's been a lot of buzz surrounding this speculation. Now, recently, the artist known as Boss Logic shared some art on social media that depicted the actor as the classic DC Comics supervillain of all supervillains, Darkseid. Now, this would be a pretty interesting choice for Josh Brolin, since he played Thanos in the MCU, and both of them are generally viewed as the counterpart to each other between the two comic companies. But the interesting part is, Josh Brolin himself might just be on board with this idea. Now, this is the picture that Boss Logic posted. And I have to say, that's a pretty menacing version of Darkseid. Now, normally, this wouldn't really be a big deal, but then Josh Brolin himself took that picture and posted it on his Instagram story. Now, the post itself had the caption, "Josh Brolin is still in talks for something big at the DCU." And honestly, there wouldn't be a role bigger in the DC universe than as Darkseid himself. Now, as many of you remember, Darkseid was on his way when the old DCEU was forming up, and he did make an appearance in Justice League and in Zack Snyder's version of Justice League. He is probably one of the most powerful villains in all of DC Comics, and as a leader of Apocalypse and a new god, well, anybody short of Superman really has a hard time standing toe-to-toe with the villain. It would be shocking to me if James Gunn wasn't ultimately building towards Darkseid, because he is, for me, the big baddie of the DC universe. But having Josh Brolin play the role, well, that's an interesting choice. Now, honestly, I don't think there's any problem with him taking the role. He is a spectacular actor, and just because he played Thanos doesn't mean he can't play Darkseid. Both characters, although clearly villains, are quite different, and despite any sort of visual similarities, there are some. Clearly, the character would be generated in the same way Thanos was generated, so CGI can definitely correct any similarities that might confuse fans. Now, at this point, James Gunn hasn't hinted at when the leader of Apocalypse could appear in the DC universe, so all of this is absolutely pure speculation on everybody's part. Keep in mind, a lot of times fans start jumping to the conclusion, and Josh Brolin just sharing this artwork doesn't confirm a single detail. Even if he is in talks for a role in the DCU, it doesn't mean it's Darkseid, and it could just be him as an actor responding to one of the most prominent fan artists, Boss Logic, by reposting the picture, which is something many actors have done in the past, and ultimately they didn't end up with the role. So don't read too much into this outside of that Josh Brolin himself might actually be interested. The whole world of James Gunn's new DCU is still kind of unfolding, so it's unclear to me at this point where Darkseid and the New Gods will fit in. I do suspect Gunn is holding them back probably for a future chapter, but the illusion of gods in the Gods and Monsters title line of Chapter 1 might not just refer to the mythological heroes of the DC universe, but could refer to the new gods themselves. But until we know more, we're going to have to wait and see. Now, before you take off, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, ring that bell for all the updates, and make sure you get every notification, because we do daily Marvel and DC content, and we don't want you to miss any news.